Okay, so let me just pick up where we just left off in this last problem. The next problem I'm going to assign to you is number 42. So if you look at the assignment I asked you to do is, if you look at the assignment, take a screenshot of all three windows like I asked you to do for number 8. Do the same thing for number 11. You have part A, B, and C and D with it. And the last problem is 42. Again, very similar activity with it, but I want to start you out with part A of number 42 on page 346, so you can see what I'm looking for with it as well. So, this is a nested loop you're gonna get into. So, give me a second. I want to set this up in Visual Studio. This is where we're at right now with this thing. So this is where we kind of left off last time, if you recall, on that last activity with it. All right. So I'm gonna. First thing I need to do is I'm going to do stop, okay, and then I'm going to clean this up with it. Let me maximize this, close out of this, and let me clear this up and get in. Put it. I'll do. Go to page 336, number 4. This is exercise page 336 in DS Malik, number 42A. Okay. So let me pause. Again, this is number 42, exercise 42, page 336. They provide you this, line 12 to line 19 with it. You put in everything else that comes in with it as well. Note, anytime when if you recall input, output, chapter 3, anytime you have a set W, in this case is a line to the right and 3 columns and all that stuff with it as well. So anytime you have a set W, what do you gotta have? Your IOMANIP library file. Okay. So I'll give you a second. I'll let you pause and pause your video. Get this into the screen. Okay. Once you get this information into the screen, you pause and everything with it as well. I'd like for you to, again, what you want to do is to do Control F5. Make sure you don't have any syntax errors before we do any tracing of the variables. And it should look something like this. Okay, I'm not looking a screenshot for this. This is what we did for the past, labs with it. But we're going to go through why this is the way it is with it. Okay, so it's 111, 2222, and all the way down to the bottom of this thing. Okay, what you notice here is this is a nested nested loop. So this for loop is inside of another loop. You need to know the structure because when we get to chapter 8, when we talk about arrays with it, you have to understand how this works with it. All right. So give you a second. If you have all this set up with it as well. Again, I want to move this to the left over here so we get a bunch of cleaning this. I'm going to clean up this right here. I'm going to go in to the Excel document. What I like to do is to create an I, J, and maybe a C out column with it. So just to let you see what I'm doing with this thing. So save. I'm not gonna. I shouldn't. What I need to do is bullet. You're welcome to save. You should with that as well. So let's walk through this. And also I have I'm gonna put some breaks in this thing so you can see. So I'm going to put some break, and I'm going to use the step out feature so you can see what's going on with this thing, with it. So I want to start out with, here is my first break is the line 14. My second break is line 16, and of course I'm going to put a break on line 17, and we'll see how this thing loops and what's inside of this thing. Remember now, I is initialized at 1, J is initialized at 1. Just off the bat, you know that they start out with 1. That's just a really cut and dry initialization with it as well. So what actually takes place? I'm going to go up here to the local Windows debugger, and it's waiting for me to step over and some of the stuff with it as well. So I want to come in again. I need some more room here because it's overlapping here. So let's see here we get some more, so I can see that button with it as well. So this is the step into. I need this one here, step over. So it comes down to this, and let me move this over a little bit more. I'm stepping into it. So if you notice, I just stepped from line 14 to line 16, I is 1. I is 1, right? Because it's initialized to I is 1. And then I do another one. Now I and J are 1 with this thing right now, right? So I'm putting it, the C out, with aligning it to 3 columns, 3 spaces with this thing. The first time I'll put the I. So the I, remember now, if you really want to think about it, the output's going to look like what? It's kind of going to have to be like a space, kind of like think of it like a space. I'm going to do this drawing like a 1 like that, okay? Because it's set W3, align to the right, give it 3 space, and you're going to actually have 3 columns across this thing, right? So, but realistically, I just drew this so you could see, but realistically it's 1. You don't really see the space in there with it, right? Excuse me. And then I'm going to do another step over, and you notice here it is. You see this 1 right here on the screen right here? And then it waits, and then inside this loop right now, I have a 1. I is 1. And then I'm going to come down, I'm going to come over, I is 1, J is 1, and it's going to start out with a 1, and then it's going to come back into this. It's going to what? J is going to be post-incremented to 2. So it's going to be 2, right? J is going to be 2. I'm going to come into this thing. J now is 2. I'm going to come out. 2 is less than or equal to 5, right? So it's true. I'm going to come out. Give me another C out. So it's going to look like kind of like this. It's going to add to that little before. It's going to look like here. It's going to have a space. I'm going to do this like this so you could see. So it's kind of looking like this, okay? But in reality, it's not. It's going to look like this. So this one was the first one that you did with it, and then it's going to have that, okay? So you're going to see how the second one, this is the second iteration inside of this thing with this. Excuse me. And then I'm going to step through. This is, of course, J is going to become what? 3. And then it's going to, again, it's going to do with the first one, space, space, 1, space, space, 1. This is the second one, right? And then it's going to do 4. And then it's going to have that. Okay? And I'm going to step through this so you can see up to 5. I'm going to do this on the pencil and paper, and you're going to see this kicking out as the first. If you haven't figured out yet, the inner for loop is kind of like your row. Okay, so you come down and it becomes 5. Okay, now J is 5. So in here you have 1, same thing. It's what's above from the above line with this, and now it just adds in. I just didn't give this enough space. My apology. Hang on. 1. So it looks like that, okay? So I'm going to actually do this inside this inner for loop for you to see, all right? So here's what's taking place, all right? Here's the second one. See where the second one comes out? You see where it comes back up here in the inner loop? My green arrow comes now. Now I is what? Still 1. Your outer loop, I is remaining 1. It's your inner loop that's changing. It's your inner loop that's changing. So your inner loop now becomes J is incremented to 2. To 2. So you do your inner loop until it's false, and then it comes out to your outer loop. Okay? So I'm doing this. Are you seeing this changing over here? Are you seeing this changing? So it's putting in align it to the right, set W3, and this is where I'm showing you. Here's J's 5. Here's my 5th one right here. Okay? This is my 4th one right here. Now, watch. I'm going to finish this line. It's going to output my last 1 in here. Now, coming up here, as I put in 5, guess what? Are you following? Look at this J. It's J now is 6. So it does turn to 6. It changes to 6. But you don't see that. You don't see that. All right? And then 6 plugs into the j less than or equal to 5 is false. Once this is false, this is omitted. You don't execute this line. You up to your 4, your outer 4. You start with your incrementing your I as 1. You have to add 1 to it, becomes 2. So here you come out as 2, and it does the same thing. It does the same thing in this case. Now remember, now I is 1. This is all 1, so it becomes 1 all the way up to 6 with this whole thing again with it, right? Okay, it doesn't like that. So I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then what is this? This is going to become 2, and it's going to be 2 space space 2 space space 2. Oops, no, too many space, and then it becomes 2 space 2 space 2 space space 2. Okay. 2. Okay. So every one of these iterations, your j is going to become 6. You see this? Your j is going to become 6, but you don't see it. And then it goes through this iteration, continuing with this thing. Again, this goes to 3. And of course, this becomes what? All the way, looks exactly like this. Like it, but you know what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this becomes what? This is I is 3, so on and so on. Okay, so, and it goes on to when you do this for 4, and that's the same thing. You do this for 5. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this, and so you can see this iteration actually takes place with this thing. So you see how we're going to step through and each one of these things, and it's going to change the step over to 4, 5. Okay. Now this is I stop here because this is the C out and L. Now this is where it's green. So what happens in your last I? Very important. Even your last I, right? I'm going to step over for you to see. Look. So I'm going to leave this as open-ended for you to figure out with it. So what is the last I to get this thing to exit? Okay. So what is the last I in this? What was the last J? Okay. So I'm going to leave this. This will conclude the last problem I will do for you.